Black woman. Ever read the classic Negritude poem by former Senegalese president who also happened to be one hell of a poet as well? Le Monsieur Léopold Sédar Senghor.
La moitié de mes poèmes ont été inspirés, je ne dis pas seulement par le Sénégal, mais par deux cantons où j'ai passé.
Now, I have no idea what you were saying, but I was just digging the accent.
I personally am obsessed with this poem. I know almost every line of it by heart. This is hands down my favorite poem ever. Originally written in French as Femme Noire in 1945. Black Woman is a poetic tribute to African nature and the women that come from it. It embraces everything about the blackness of the African woman, like the black color of her skin and hair, the shape and the form. This poem was written at the prime of the Negritude movement from the 1930s and 50s as a way to restore the lost pride of dark-skinned women, in particular at the height of the humiliating racism and slavery, a racism that had left most black women wanting to be lighter, to feel more beautiful, because of course, as hard as this may be for you to hear now, back then the real standard of beauty was considered having blue eyes, a white trim figure and blonde hair. In other words, being white. Yeah, like Toni Morrison got it right with their book The Bluest Eye.
So you've got the most vulnerable people in the world, which are children, female children, female black children who have never held center stage in anything.
Now, this racial inferiority complex can be traced back to the times of slavery and the lighter female slaves who were treated much better and held to better positions, like being a house girl or a prostitute. They simply renamed as a quote comfort girl, or slavers to make themselves feel better, of course, because they couldn't just tell you, yeah, you just are a prostitute. And I know being a house girl ain't all that now, but back then it was actually seen as sort of a crowning achievement in the life of a black woman. Yeah, I know how sad that is, but it was on the real. It was actually very real. Which meant most dark-skinned women, the darker they were, the more likely they would work even more degrading jobs on the field, such as manual laborers who picked cotton. As you can imagine, these were probably the earliest causes of colorism amongst black people amongst themselves. And as time went on, even after slavery had been abolished, the damage had already been done. Most dark-skinned women felt inferior or even guilty for having black skin, even towards women of their own race. They no longer felt beautiful and worth respecting. And this is the context and the reason why this masterpiece was written in the mid-20th century, as it cut right into this racial facade, even with its very first line, Black woman utters, clothed with your color, which is life, with your form, which is beauty. And whenever I think of this poem or revisit it in a much more modern context, the next thing I think of usually is Kenyan actress Lupita Nyong'o. I can't help it because Lupita is of course dark, like really dark skinned. But what I really love about her is that she knows she's dark and lovely, and she owns her skin and her physical image. Lupita Nyong'o is like that modern black woman, the essence of what Sédar Senghor's poem preaches about. It's almost like the poem lives through her. She metaphorically and physically embodies its message. And I know there are many other black women out there who are black and proud, but Lupita to me is the most well-known example I can think of. Personally, we have of course come a long way from this shallow perception of beauty since then, but not all the way. Some might even argue that not at all, because at the end of the day, those anti-diplomazona, skin lightening, whatnot products don't buy boxes and boxes of themselves in Africa, hey?
Globally, the industry is worth about $20 billion and is expected to grow to $31 billion by 2024. Ghana has one of the fastest growing markets in Africa.
From the poorest to the middle class and to the rich class, they all, a good number of them bleach. In my last research, I found out that when you go to the marketplaces, 6 out of 10 bleach.
Those things are still getting sold out even today. So, in a modern social media world filled with the African yellow-born slay queens and even many celebrities that use artificial lotions, pills, and Instagram filters to lighten themselves up to get more likes and approval, thankfully, in the midst of all this madness and noise, there is still one person I would truly recommend as an ambassador of Africanness besides Nigerian writer Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and it is definitely Lupita. Even more so because unlike being a writer, she is someone who is in the threshold of a business where physical appearance plays a key role in someone's career. I believe Lupita Nyong'o, from her personality and behavior, embodies the very pride and heart of the poem. It is as if it lives through her. As I said before, everything about this woman just oozes intelligence, elegance, class, authenticity, and of course, beauty and blackness. From her really darkly smooth skin and her short natural hair, Lupita is the real deal, man. You never really feel like she's trying to lose herself in the white man's world, even though she's at the center of it. And with Hollywood, let's be honest here, it has and is still relatively a white man's business, reeking with white men's standards of beauty.
Do you think there's still colorism in Hollywood?
Yes.
Yeah.
Many actresses have compromised their standards when mega bucks and their personal values are placed at opposing sides. I mean, there is a reason why the plastic surgery business is so lucrative there, right? But despite her booming fame, Lupita has stayed the same and firmly attached to her black roots. She's still as dark as she was when she had her breakthrough in 12 Years a Slave back in 2013 and maintains the African standards not by chance. She actually is very intentional about it, opening up about her negative childhood issues with colorism.
I would pray to God every night for lighter skin because my mom told me God performs miracles. So I thought, oh, well, here's one for me. I definitely grew up feeling feeling uncomfortable with my skin color because I felt like the world around me awarded lighter skin. I witnessed that the world around me awarded lighter skin.
Even defends her dark appearance boldly on world stages and even writes children's books for young African children about embracing their own dark skin.
Let's talk about this book, by the way. I love it, by the way. It is fantastic. Suwe, tell me what this is about. And this is basically about you, right?
Yeah, it's a liberal autobiography, really.
Yeah.
It's about this girl called Suwe. Suwe means star in my mother tongue, Luo. And she's born the darkest in her family and the darkest in her school. And she's very uncomfortable with her skin and wants to go about changing it.
I love her uncompromising nature and her diverse but repetitive display of her black pride. Whether it be her hairstyles, the dresses she wears, the skin she sometimes shows off. Of course, she does borrow Western elements to her style here and there, but she doesn't drown in it, you know. She shows it on the red carpet in her elegant dresses without being too revealing or suggestive, but enough to show that she isn't ashamed of her dark skin. Pretty much in the same way Sédar's poem famously refrains unapologetically dark woman, naked women several times throughout the poem. Now, some scholars have seen this refrain as rather objectifying women, but to me this line, all it does is celebrate the natural African beauty in its raw natural form, which is symbolized as the dark naked skin. It is a metaphor for pride in the black existence. Lupita also looks at her dark skin as a metaphor for her black pride and existence. Maybe not consciously, but you know what I mean.
But then a magical night through the night sky changes her mind and she learns how to love herself.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful story.
The dark skin she encourages young black girls to embrace from an early age, and due to her intelligence and influence, she knows that if she were to reject this dark skin, it would be as good as rejecting her natural Kenyan roots, therefore sending a bad message to young black girls everywhere who look up to her. Because, as again the poem quotes, it is the skin that is clothed in the color of life itself. Black woman is a double appreciation of both the raw and tempered African nature and femininity, and both appreciations are beautifully used to amplify the value of each other. That quote strike to the heart like the flash of an eagle, or watered skin glinting of red and gold. As Lupita's skin glows in its blackness, as it is described interestingly enough by Senghor as the pears are stars on the night of your skin, it's not about the physical, external literal minerals that makes the black lady rich, such as rings, necklaces, or expensive Gucci bags, but the skin that is as good as pearls, stars, and even gold itself. In the poem, this dark skin is everything to this poem. It is portrayed as our nature, our image, our identity, home, minerals, summer, security, our pride, and much more. The Hollywood actress, in her intelligence, is well aware of this and how important it is to claim it for all those African women who face social pressures from friends, boyfriends, in-laws, haters to bleach their skin to be accepted. Because of the subconscious colonial inferiority complex as written by legendary Algerian Frantz Fanon in Black Skin, White Masks that was incubated from the times of slavery I told you about, they sadly bleached their skin to become beautiful and involved themselves in colorism where black women grade each other's value based on physical lightness of their skin color. I mean, like, really? Now that ain't right. However, again, despite this, Lupita still embraces her black skin with conviction, which makes her a woman of high value and not her wealth or status. She is of course a very talented actress with many connections, but I believe it is this unshakable conviction, drive, and solid self-assertiveness that is the reason she is where she is right now.
I'm interested to know what you made of all that.
I don't care to make a public statement about that.
Does it seem to you to be racist if you black up?
I really don't care to make a public statement about that.
Even now, with an Oscar to her name, the first African to do so, and with the world clearly at her feet, she still has not swayed from her black standards. She continues to challenge these colonial, Eurocentric, superficial ideas of beauty like she always did if she is crossed. Such as in 2017 with the Grazia magazine, a situation where most other people would have easily taken the money and ran. She called out that magazine for Eurocentrically altering her picture by straightening her hair, and the magazine was forced to admit and apologize for that, and everyone respected her for doing that. This is the personal conviction that also has ironically seen her dominate magazine covers that were traditionally for white models and actresses. She has graced magazine covers of People, In Style, Marie Claire, and appeared on the American Vogue covers like 4 times in a row, the first African to do so, or maybe the first person, period. And not because she followed their standards, but again, she redefined them by reintroducing her own, our own, the standards of the black woman. Now, don't get it twisted though. This video was not an anti-light skinned propaganda or some sort of colorism as they call it. That's so sad. We just had to do this one for our dark-skinned sisters who were slammed by Rev Smith from Things Fall Apart. As written by Chinua Achebe, Rev Smith saw the world as black and white, and black was evil. Unfortunately, a lot of black women still carry this mentality. That's why they desperately chase the Eurocentric ideas of beauty. That is why ambi skin lightening creams are still selling out in Africa even today. However, if you're born light-skinned, that's awesome. Why would you want to be anything else? If you're born dark-skinned, like Lupita, likewise, why would you want to be anything else? Just don't put your body through unnecessary pain to chase superficial ideas of something you know yourself you're naturally not.
You start to affect not only the upper layers of the skin, but you also affect the deeper layers of the skin to such an extent that at a particular point the whole process becomes reversed. You get much darker areas of the skin, and eventually the skin is destroyed to such an extent that only laser surgery or resurfacing surgery becomes the answer.
Rather just be a black woman, because that's what Black Woman, the poem, is really about, really. Embracing the natural self and the roots. And if you do know your worth and own it, you definitely can do anything and you will go places, no matter how dark you are. As the poem closes, I sing your beauty that passes, the form that I fix in the eternal, before jealous fate turn you to ashes to feed the roots of life. Beautiful words then, monsieur. Beautiful words. Bravo. Bravo, as we say in French. So in that regard, we definitely thank our ancestors for this woman right here. I cannot stress enough how much I adore her. And this poem, of course, the only thing I hope is I didn't sound too weird writing this love letter to her. Yeah, I want to send this to her. Yeah, I hope she replies. She won't reply, but you know, it's worth a try. So, as always, guys, thanks for watching Mimsy Africa.